outside and it's very hot, so apologies if my hair's all frizzy. I'm a little bit sweaty and flushed, but I have been out. So I came back in and I got a letter. Look at this, it's addressed to me. I'm not going to show you my address. I'll show you my name. There. That's my name. To me. Because what happened, the reason I've got this, it's not like some summons. I'm pretty sure I know what it is. I haven't opened it yet. But a few weeks ago, it hasn't taken years for them to reply. That would be ridiculous. No, a few weeks ago, I sent a postcard to the House of Commons with a question. The question was, because I'd just seen a film called The Acting Class, had to remember that then, all about how difficult it is for people of a working class background and people with a low income to get into the acting profession and other arts now, because of there's no restriction on, you can still be discriminated if you're from a certain economic background, you've got a certain accent, if you're just, you know, if you're poor, and obviously it shows if you're not from. It's difficult, isn't it? Anyway, there was supposed to be a provision in the Equalities Act in 2010, I think, when there was a Labour government, where they wouldn't be able to discriminate against you from if you had a particular accent or a class background or whatever. That never got really played out. So this is all about how difficult it was. Christopher Eccleston was in it. He says a little bit. Other people, Maxine Peake, lots of other people, lots of people. Anyway, the whole point being, it's quite difficult now. And a few years ago, Julie Walters was on this. She tried to campaign against this. And she said that it is really difficult because when she was younger, it was easier to get student grants and easier to get funding to actually go into the arts. Whereas now, not so easy at all unless you've got a lot of money and the right background. And even then, how are you going to get a career afterwards without money and the right background? It's a very difficult thing to solve. It's not going to be solved overnight. It's difficult. Anyway, she said all of this, Julie Walters, and the famous actor Lawrence Fox, who is famous because his father and his uncle are both Foxes, and his grandfather was an agent, and his grandmother was an actress, and all his siblings and cousins are in the business. That Lawrence Fox said, shut up, basically, said, oh, don't be ridiculous, it's easy. It's like, yes, it is Lawrence Fox. If you've gone to, I think he went to Harrow, as did his parents, not both his parents, his dad, obviously, because it was a boys' school, and basically, shut up, Lawrence Fox. And it's not difficult for him to shut up. I went to see him in a play once, and he was just all mumbly in a corner, and he was trying to do a northern accent, bless him. It wasn't very good, but I'm not sure it wasn't very good because I couldn't really hear him. I could hear everyone else in it. Rory from Doctor Who was in it, and he was excellent. Everybody else in it, excellent. Lawrence Fox was just... That's how he was acting. Anyway, that's beside the point. The point is, shut up, Lawrence Fox. And Julie Walters, you go, girl. So, as to quote, you know, somebody might go, oh yeah, the NHS and defence and schools and all this is more important than the arts. But the thing is, to quote the famous, controversially, little bit divisive figure, the hero and villain, Winston Churchill, who is a great British hero and also anti-unionist and a bit racist, he said, when questioned about something or other in something or anyway, he said during the war, what are we fighting for if we get rid of all the arts and the culture? And this is probably apocryphal, that's probably not true. But basically he said, if you get rid of all the arts and the culture and all the things that make life worth living, then what are we fighting for? What are we fighting for? I mean, you can stay alive, it's great to be alive, but if there's nothing to, I mean, without EastEnders even, and pop music, and just books and everything, everyone consumes entertainment or art in some form or other. I'm not going to discriminate against whether you think it's highbrow or lowbrow, or, you know, opera and ballet and soap operas and newspapers and just, you know, just generally, even newspapers. It's all culture, it's all part of our cultural makeup, and without all of this, what are we fighting for? Anyway, they gave a little postcard at this screening, and I sent one to my MP, who is Mike Freer. I'm in the same constituency that Margaret Thatcher, another very controversial and divisive figure. she was the MP for this area. So Mike Freer is the Conservative MP, so I thought he's probably not really going to say much. But let's see, because you have to apparently, if you put your name in it, they have to reply. So I asked him to try and make sure that it was more of an equal society and put provision in so that you can't discriminate against people based on their class, basically. Dear Miss Harris, thank you for your postcard about the socio-economic duty on public bodies contained within Section 1 of the Equality Act 2010. You also asked me to sign associated EDM as government whip and therefore as minister I'm not able to sign EDMs, as doing so is likely to breach the Hang on, I'm reading this correctly. I am not able to sign EDMs as doing so is likely to breach would likely breach the Ministerial Code's rule on collective responsibility. That's actually what it says. What? However, I am proud that the UK's government record on equality is one of the best in the world. Ha! He's a comedian. And I know my colleagues in government are determined this will remain so as and after we leave the EU. There is already a public sector equality duty in place that requires public bodies to have due regard to the need to eliminate unlawful discrimination, harassment, victimisation and other conduct prohibited by the Equalities Act. Well, yes, there is, but public sector bodies must also advance equalities of opportunity between people who share a protected characteristic and people who do not share it. I know the government is also reviewing the future of the uncommented provisions in the Equality Act. Okay. Thank you again for taking the trouble to contact me. Sincerely, Mike Freer MP. Okay. Well, that was very vague. Basically, oh, we're really good at it. We're already doing things. Are you though? Are you though? So that was a nothing of a thing. And it also was ungrammatical. It makes no sense. I don't really know. That sentence. As doing so is likely to breach would likely breach the Ministerial Code's duty on collective responsibility. It makes no sense. But at least he answered, that's something I suppose. So I think the ongoing fight continues to bring culture and art to all, to make equality a thing, to make everybody, regardless of gender and race and religion and economic background and socio-economic background and whether you went to Harrow or not, which is not going to change, to be honest. If you went to Oxford and Cambridge, you're probably going to have a bit of an advantage. Especially if you have the right knobby background and the right knobby accent. But the fight continues. Well, there you go then. What can you do?